Hello, guys. Happy Passover. I found a very important article here in the Daily News from December 30th of 2018 about Save Jewish Cemeteries. This is where the Lithuanian government is trying to erect a sports complex over old Jewish cemeteries. So this is an important issue. Let's take a look at the article right now. Push for U.S.to act versus Lithuanian desecration by Rabbi Lau, New York Daily News. Top rabbis and Brooklyn activists are in a heated battle to protect from desecration a historic 16th century Jewish cemetery in Lithuania amid planned renovation of a dilapidated building atop the sacred burial ground. The Lithuanian government aims to restore the long-abandoned palace of concerts and sports on the grounds of the Snipskis Jewish Cemetery, the final resting place for prominent Jewish scholars in an area once known as the Jerusalem of Lithuania. This is a picture here. Opponents of fearing the historic site is about to get trampled on want the Trump administration to apply pressure to kill the renovation plan. Quote, "This could threaten the integrity of every cemetery in the world," said Bernard Fryshman of Brooklyn, who has filed a federal lawsuit against the U.S. Commission for the Preservation of America's Heritage Abroad. Quote, "If a government can go ahead and desecrate a cemetery in such an obvious fashion, what's to prevent other governments from taking similar actions?" Fryshman, a physics professor at the New York Institute of Technology, argues the Federal Commission, quote, "failed to act to protect the site and that its inaction should worry every single American." The head of the commission insists the White House isn't ignoring the issues. Quote, "There's never been more attention paid to the cemetery than under the Trump administration," said Commissioner Chairman Paul Packer, who's visited Lithuania twice in the past 6 months. The cemetery saga reaches back more than 600 years, when the Lithuanian capital Vilnius was the center of Jewish culture in Europe. The burial grounds hold the remains of tens of thousands of Jewish people, according to historians. During World War II, the cemetery was seized by the Nazis. Later, it was taken over by the Soviet Union. At some point, the gravestones were removed and likely used for construction. Then in 1972, Kremlin officials built a, quote, "sports palace" in the middle of the cemetery, a structure that's been abandoned for years. Lithuanian government officials now want to convert it into a concert and convention center, but Jewish community leaders, including Israeli Chief Rabbi David Lau, believe that renovation will require digging up and disturbing remains. Quote, "You were talking about a huge project," Fryshman said. Quote, "It will entail digging up other spots in the cemetery for sewage, water supplies, and electrical conduits." They also believe there are still bodies beneath the structure, noting that some Jewish cemeteries have had as many as 14 bodies buried on top of one another. Quote, "The new center would also profane the sacred site by bringing thousands of people every day to meet and enjoy themselves on the cemetery's grounds," the lawsuit argues. Lithuanian government officials counter the project has the approval of the London-based Committee for the Preservation of Jewish Cemeteries in Europe. The group, founded by Rabbi Eliakim Schlesinger in 1992, has negotiated a series of protective measures for the site. Activists, however, say the London-based organization doesn't represent the Jews of Vilnius and from other places. A petition protesting the project has collected close to 50,000 signatures. For Brooklyn resident Dov Fried, 72, the preservation push is personal. Quote, "My father is from Vilna," he said. Quote, "If this goes through and they are able to desecrate the cemetery, then there's no cemetery that's safe anymore. It's like David fighting Goliath," he added. Jewish dignitaries buried in the cemetery include Rabbi Abraham Danzig, the author of the Chaye Adam, a scholarly book on practical Jewish law. Quote, "This is not just a Jewish issue," said Fryshman. "It's a human rights issue." Here we have Brooklynite Dov Fried is among those who want the Trump administration to press Lithuanian officials to block restoration of the palace concerts and sports, that's above left over there, on the grounds of the cemetery. So this is a very important issue involving human rights, of the dignity of the people, of a cemetery, that it shouldn't be desecrated. So this is a push for the U.S. to act versus Lithuanian desecration. Okay. Thank you very much. See you again. Take care.